MrGirl's style of conversation is very aggressive.
Because there's nothing I can say, because people they're creating a hypothetical I need to apologize for. Nothing happened.
Once it feels like you're not having a conversation, but instead it's an adversarial thing where it feels like the other person is trying to nail you on something, the tone of your conversation is going to get way different. So she has less of an interest right now in engaging with his questions and more trying to deflect or explain or justify her actions, rather than an honest engagement with what he's asking. That's the problem. It's because he's too. I'm okay with adversarial people if I think they're coming at it in a good way. Most people aren't. Like, it's a fun conversation, but it's a challenging one, and most people don't want that type of challenging conversation where they feel like their reputation or something, or their character or their moral character is at stake.
Who is this? This is a person named MrGirl. And he is very controversial. I actually, so I'll just set the scene here. I actually haven't looked that much into you. I don't know about your Cuties controversy. I made an active decision not to look too much into you before speaking.
Now,
not have too much of a bias.
But also, let's be clear, that also makes it, not looking into me also makes it so you have plausible deniability.
I don't care about that.
You may not care about it, but it's a fact.
What does that mean? Like,
he's always so aggressive.
Plausible deniability.
Why?
Well, if somebody says, Lauren, why would you talk to the guy who said this, this, and this? You can say, well, I didn't know he said that.
Someone near the base. Can you come up with a gun if you're?
That you don't know what I've said or
I don't really trust myself. Who is it? I'll die.
How dare you?
Some guy with a crossbow. I'm just mining wood naked. This is dick riding. I think he left me alone though. I'm good.
Because if you, well, let's say that after the stream,
unless you decide to go like shoot up a school or something.
No. Let's say after the stream, somebody shows you that I am a advocate for child pornography. That I've been caught and arrested with it 5 times. I've spent 10 years in jail. I love child pornography, and I just think it's the best thing on earth. Don't you think you'd have some?
We're gonna get into that. I'm
saying
ask you some questions.
I'm saying if you had known that before we talked, do you think that you would be so friendly with me in our opening statements here? Probably not.
I know you're controversial, and I know people have said you're a pedophile and these kind of things.
I understand that, but if I were literally a child pornographer, if I were a maker of child pornography, don't you agree that you would at least approach this with some more trepidation?
Yeah, I'd probably speak to you, but yeah, I'd probably come in pretty hard.
Okay, and so that's why I'm saying if somebody says, why didn't you come in hard, you have it now laid out that you
Super Idol does IO wrong.
to come in hard about because you have
by using.
Why would you do this? Stop.
I mean, if I were playing lots of mental games, that would make sense. Sure, if I were like setting up all these building blocks, but I'm not smart enough for that. I'm not.
Oh,
on an emotional, don't
play stupid.
Let me.
You're not stupid.
Let me clarify that. On a social, emotional level, it's not that I'm not smart enough to do it. I just don't really think I'm that capable. It's not in my constitution, my personality, to play those kind of social games, which is why I tend to be very bad at it and tend to have the reputation I do now.
Okay, I think it's fair to, I agree that you are somewhat naive or maybe unwilling to play those games, but finding out if the person you're talking to is a literal child molester, I don't think that's a social game. I think
he's so aggressive.
I just want to point out that you can frame it as laziness, or you just didn't feel like researching me, or you didn't want to have a bias, or whatever.
No, but so I watched one interview with you and Destiny, but it didn't go over your history.
Plausible deniability, whether you wanted to or not.
Like, I see what you're getting at. I just don't know why.
You don't know why I'm getting at it?
Like, I see that. So I found this interesting with your conversation with Destiny. You seem to care a lot about how people are or could be using you in a social aspect. Like, you want to understand the psychology of why people talk to each other, why they avoid certain people online, why they ask certain questions the way they do or have the constitution they do in a conversation. And I think that's interesting because a lot of people don't take that approach in this realm. They all just kind of assume in some spheres, we're all here for clout and we're just, it's like Zerka Royale. We're all here for clout. We're all using each other. That's what this is going to be. And then some people make genuine friends on the internet, and some people get genuine, solid relationships with people. Why do you care so much about this kind of stuff? Like, why do you care so much about the interpersonal relationships between like streamers and people who speak to you?
I have a strong aversion to pretending I'm friends with somebody I'm not. And I have a strong aversion to noticing a dynamic in a social situation, especially one that disadvantages me, and not talking about it explicitly. So, and this has derailed a lot of my streams lately, where I feel like a power play is being made or a move is being made, knowingly or not, and then when I point it out, it just like, I basically just derails the whole conversation. So, so like with Destiny, I feel like anytime I talk to Destiny, I do like to acknowledge like, hey, like you're huge, you launched my career, and made it so I can like semi-make a living. I quit my job because I talked to you once like 3 weeks ago. And I think that that creates a huge power differential, and I think it's worth mentioning. And not just a power differential for me, but it also creates like a situation where somebody that big and especially somebody whose fans are so likely to also become fans of mine, can help me way more than I can help him. So it just creates this like weird dynamic, I think, every time we talk, that my only solution to it is to talk about it. And lately, after talking to a lot of people on Twitch, I've noticed people will do a lot of things to protect themselves in these conversations. And so I want to point out that any declaration either of us make of like, hey, I don't know everything this person has said, is somewhat self-protective, even if we don't intend it to be. It has that effect.
Also, like, I tried to find your Cuties review, but I couldn't find it. Is it still online?
Yeah, it's on my website.
But it's
YouTube
not
took
on
it
your
down.
YouTube. So
No,
I went to your YouTube and I watched 2 of your songs. The I'm a pedophile song.
Wait, how did she go from I've never researched you to I watched your conversation with Destiny to I watched your conversation with Destiny, tried to find your Cuties review, and I've watched multiple videos on your YouTube? Wait, what?
Am I allowed to say this on Twitch? Let me quickly ask my chat.
That's
Am
interesting.
I banned for
Pedophile?
saying this word? Yeah.
I know you can talk about pedophiles on Twitch.
Okay.
Trust me,
Okay.
my whole career is talking about pedophiles on Twitch.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're good, chat. We're good to go. Full
Yeah.
steam ahead. And then I watched a Destiny conversation with you, and I found you very interesting. I found your conversation style, the way your brain works,
Destiny, I think
very
there's someone in
interesting.
You think
but
what?
I could not purport to know about your history.
Someone's
That's my
crawling into your
context for
fucking
you.
house, man.
I did try to find it.
He's above.
I won't pretend I didn't.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
couldn't
Is
find
right
it, and I
above the
didn't.
hedge.
Oh,
I
fuck.
think I'll tweet that out today so that
Yep, he's on my
everybody
base.
can see my
Yeah.
Cuties review if anybody missed it.
So before we jump into things, should we explain why our first chat was canceled?
For the exact reason I just said, but the other way around. Well, actually, that's not. It was it was canceled because you got pissed. It was canceled because you got pissed off. But the reason you got pissed off is because I did what I just said that you did.
Right. Right.
So we were
Which I
gonna play
find
video-
interesting.
Yeah,
we're
close the
gonna
door,
play
you
games
fucking
together.
idiot. Sorry. He can open and close one hatch, okay?
Woman, this will be good.
Well,
And then
the hatch was
I
closed when I
heard-
opened the door. That's why.
Yeah, I know, but it can be.
No,
It can also
you're-
be opened. Okay, I don't have a code log on that one yet.
and I don't know all the facts.
Oh,
so we can talk about this,
Yeah.
about your refugee ship incident.
Got any meds?
And
Yeah, you do.
it suddenly felt like that, and then you being friendly with people who other people, including me, perceived to be white nationalists or white supremacists, made me think that I'm going to appear like I don't know what I'm doing, and like I haven't
He's up
done
there.
research well
All right,
enough,
hold on.
and like I'm naive and trusting.
I'll get him out.
Not trusting. Trusting's good. Like I'm stupid. That's what I mean.
Okay, ready?
And,
Hello?
Are
I
we looking for a
didn't
gun?
want to
Where are
appear that incompetent.
Inside our base.
So it's not about. It's
Okay,
not me
Moon, are you
wanting
ready?
to not appear being friendly with somebody who is perceived as a white supremacist or who might be a
Oh,
white
wait.
supremacist.
No.
We have no fucking bullets.
It's that I don't
Just
want
hold
to
this.
be
Watch up.
seen
Watch up if he opens it.
realizing I'm doing that in real time, like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. That was my main
So how
problem.
do you?
Oh,
So let
Like,
me.
obviously.
he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in trying to explain this to you, I think it came across to you as like you're dirty and I don't want to be smeared by you, which is fair.
It actually wasn't. That's not how it came across. I found
okay.
it's.
The real question is, how does he build this?
So when I got your initial
He does
message,
not have
of
building
course I had all
privileges.
those things
'Cause you can
in
build
my head.
floors without
Like,
building
oh my
privileges.
Gosh, this guy, he's
Oh,
got all these
really?
accusations
What?
about him. That he's a pedophile. He's, or he's defending child porn or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
should I even talk to him? Like that went through my head. Should I even
Alright,
talk to him?
shouldn't be a problem
I
anymore.
want to have this conversation, and I was like, you know what? Like, people spend a lot of time doing those calculations in their head. I'm reading a book right now. I'm going to be quoting him a lot just because I get obsessive with whatever book I'm reading at the moment and integrating it into whatever conversations I have in my life. G.K. Chesterton, and he wrote. It's his criticism of a bunch of philosophers in his day and age, friends and people he dislikes, and he wrote, "You should never go to a man's enemies to try to understand who he is, nor should you go to the man himself." And I'm like, I don't feel like I can get a proper understanding
Where'd you
of who
get
this person
the
is,
bullets
nor
for the
can you
gun?
get a proper understanding of who I am by what
I
the
just had 'em.
worst accusations
Oh.
of us are on
Can you give me
Twitter.
one?
So let's just give it a chance. Sure. You want to play COD? Let's play COD. I'll talk. I'll
Here.
hear what you actually have
One
to
sec.
say, and then I can analyze that. And,
Put it in that container.
analyze other
shooting?
people's thoughts, my own mind, in context with other readings and understandings I have.
Are you-
But
Okay.
I just don't. Certainly, with my own experience, don't have that belief that you can.
This guy's a major dick writer. He's got like 50 beds all over the
worst
around our base.
accusations against them, or what all your enemies say. So then,
I feel like
to
I've
have
outpaced
that
him intellectually.
turned around and be like, "Ooh, Lauren, I'm gonna, be careful because of the worst assumptions I've seen about you online." I was like, "Oh, damn it!" Like, I figured you might find it endearing that both of us were in this position where people have these horrible interpretations of us that we both genuinely believe are deeply misunderstood. I at least assume on your end. Yeah.
Well-
I don't know.
I think that some people hate me because of misconceptions they have about me. But I think that a lot of my detractors actually do understand me. They just are horrified by me, genuinely. And I don't.
Interesting. So that's what I want to find out. I know you wanted to interview me, but I'm gonna have far too many questions for it to go that way.
That's fine.
If I'm being honest.
We can go either way. Yeah, I agree that you can't go to the person's enemies or to themselves, but I think that but you're neither. So you're in a good position to understand me, not being my enemy, nor my ally, nor me. And I think
So
I'm in a good
who,
position to understand you.
Who gets to go first in the Alcoholics Anonymous circle, the canceled Anonymous circle? Do you want to start with?
Nazis and pedophiles anonymous.
So what's this whole Cuties thing? What's the review there? What
I made a
happened?
review where I said that Cuties tries to make you attracted to 11-year-old girls and that it's pretty good at it. I said,
And how did-
I said like,
Okay.
as far as music videos go, like they are kind of hot, and that's kind of weird, and that I think it was unethical to be made with real children. But if you take the ethics of that aside, I think it makes an interesting point of forcing.
Oh, he
us
caveats
to
a little now. That's good.
reconcile with ourselves, like, how do we handle the blurry area between children and adults, and the times when we can see them as attractive or when they're dressed up or acting like adults, and as an art piece, I found it a interesting way to force us to confront those things. And then overall, like the ways that we sexualize children.
So do you think that Cuties should have been published or should not have been published?
When you say public, you mean by Netflix or by like?
Do you think it should have been made in the first place?
No, not the way it was, but I don't think it should be illegal. So it's like, there's a lot of things that you can do that I think are immoral, but I don't think that someone with a gun should stop you. So this falls in that kind of realm where I'm like, I think we need people out there making immoral art. As contradictory as it sounds, like I don't think you should do it, but I don't think it rises to the level of a crime either.
Why do you think it's immoral?
It's not gonna mix all of this that quickly, right?
Because you're telling kids to twerk. Or you're letting them twerk, whatever, paying them to twerk. Whether they like it or not. You're filming, you're sticking a big camera in a kid's butt. And that's like, just seems wrong to me. Yeah.
So to clarify to my chat who don't know, the movie Cuties was a French movie about a bunch of 11-year-olds who make a dance team and they do very, very sexual dances and have a lot of sexual experiences in the movie. So a lot of people, Netflix bought it, massive controversy. People were like, this is like borderlining on child porn.
Yeah.
MrGirl's whole controversy is he did a review of the movie where he didn't fully reject it. I've done a review of Cuties myself for Human Events where I obviously completely rejected the film and don't think it should have been.
Did she watch it? Please ask her if she watched it.
Do you think it should be a crime?
So I asked, well, I'm more so getting into the moral aspect of it. So you said you don't think it's moral because it's sticking cameras at children's private parts.
The creation of it, I think, is the problem. That you're, like, I don't think it's immoral to film a kid's gymnastics competition. Mm-hmm. Even though they could end up being kind of sexualized in the same way, or if somebody were interested in watching that for sexual reasons, they might receive gratification from it. So that's not the part so much that I'm worried about. It's that it sends a very different message to a child to say, like, you're going to compete in this sport, and part of the sport is that you're wearing a leotard, versus I'm going to put you in a leotard and film you because it is sexual. And we're making a movie about sexuality and objectifying children, so I'm going to objectify you. I'd like, even if the outcome could be similar, it's the creation of the second one, I think, is inherently semi-child abuse.
And did you just didn't clarify your thoughts on that well enough in your Cuties review, you think? Or what was like the crux that people held on to when we're doing all the
I said that pretty clearly in the review. Most people have not actually seen my review. They've seen clips of me saying that the girls were hot, out of context.
So you objectively found them hot, is what you're saying?
Well, I think it's subjective, but yeah.
Oh, man.
Fair. In your mind.
In my mind, yeah, I was like, wow, they actually are kind of hot. So, but like the point of bringing that up in the review was like, this is weird. It's weird. It's a weird.
Okay, I'm gonna sidetrack for a big thing that just never mind. No, I'm not.
Dress these kids up to be hot, and then like they kind of are.
Right. So you're saying it's a weird thing and a wrong thing. I'm trying to understand you here properly. That there would be a deliberate intention to try to make people's mind make that connection between a child and sexuality.
No. I think that's fine. I think that I'm fine with that part of it. I'm fine with challenging people to like, I think there's ways you can make the world a better place or a more interesting place by forcing people to acknowledge to themselves, like, that, you know what, the line of where you find someone attractive is not 18. It's not magically, it stops there. For some people, it goes somewhat lower. For some people, much lower. It's dependent on situations and relationships or whatever. And I think that I think we can protect children better if we know that about ourselves and each other. So I'm fine with challenging people to face that.
So we acknowledge, obviously pedophilia exists. So there are people that are attracted to children. We acknowledge that exists within the human psyche in some places.
Well, it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum, right? We acknowledge that exists within the human psyche. So should not and this is obviously what the natural reaction was for most people. The natural reaction was, we deeply reject this movie because we
I don't know. I think that's
spark that.
I think that's
in the
fake.
Human psyche
I don't.
That.
I think some of that is fake. Wait, can I just explain the answer to your previous question about what people's problem was with my review? Most people,
go ahead.
When they disclose things about themselves on social media, are doing so for the purpose of saying ... and I am a good and normal person, and this is how things should be. And so I'm very careful to differentiate between when I'm making a prescriptive statement about how I think the world should be. But I think the assumption is when someone's reviewing a movie that they're not going to make themselves look like a sick monster. And so I think there's an assumption that if I say, oh yeah, the movie made me find the girls in the movie hot, that I therefore think that's a good thing, or that I'm completely comfortable with that, or that I want to normalize it, or that I whatever. There's a lot of assumptions that go into that. So I think part of the problem is that people who are not familiar with me or my content are assuming that like if who's a good clean YouTuber, like Mr. Beast. If Mr. Beast came out and said like the girls at Cuties were hot, obviously the implication there would be, and that's okay, and that's a good thing, and like why? I'm very careful to explain on my channel like my morality is
daytime
a separate topic, and I addressed it separately in the review from my experience, and I do not present my thoughts. And I think this is the appeal of my channel to people. I'm not presenting my thoughts in a way where I'm only going to present the ones that I think are moral. In fact, I'm going to go out of my way to present the thoughts that I have that I think are immoral more, because they're the more unspoken and more interesting thoughts to talk about.
So is it just, okay, so I've got I've got so many questions. First of all, I want, for my chat, for people that are listening, they're all like, what the hell is going on? So just clarify, like, black and white. You think age of consent
you want to talk,
exist, like you're against
okay, this is exactly
kind of stuff, like just
they want to make sure he's a good person.
Watch it happen in real time.
Yes.
So people desperately want reassurance
that
when you go into murky waters. Right? And same thing with you.
Yeah, you have to clarify everything going in. But like I'm
like same
doing
thing
this
same
because
thing
I'm
with
seeing mass confusion in my chat, so I feel like anything you say from this point on will just
it's the same thing. Well, I mean,
if there isn't some sort of clarification,
Right. So it'd be like if my chat was like, wait a second, ask her if she believes that in equal rights for people of different races. Ask her if she's a race realist. Ask her if she believes in segregation or if she's pro-slavery. Make her say XYZ.
Yeah.
Make some statement or pledge that she's not a racist.
Well, I can. So I can make statements like.
I don't want you to make any statements. I'm just giving you an example.
I know what you mean, though. Like, I get what you're saying.
So is that what we're doing? You're asking me to do that.
Definitive statement.
I assume you don't like it when people ask you to do this.
No, you're right. I don't like that.
You don't like it. So maybe you should tell your chat to fuck off.
I think that they have some relevant concerns, but all right. What I will tell you, chat, is
but you don't.
Deeper. Let's dig deeper.
No. Don't fuck with me. You are not sitting there thinking that I want to lower the age of consent. I don't believe you think that. They think that, and they're addressing you with the concern, and you are passing it on to me.
No, I don't think that, but I'm not sure that you're communicating that well enough, and I don't think I communicate my thoughts well enough sometimes either, which is why there's been a large amount of misunderstanding.
Okay.
How convenient.
I think I should defend you from my chat, and you can defend me from your chat. How's that? You can explain it to your chat. Don't ask me. You tell them. You understand.
Well, I'm trying to fully understand your beliefs
No,
as well right now.
I think you understand just fine. I appoint you as my representative to defend me from your own chat. You now have power of attorney. You can speak for me. Go ahead.
We've only spoken for 30 minutes.
You're that
I
intuitive.
genuinely do not feel
You are that
I can
intuitive.
describe your views well enough.
You are that intuitive, I believe, that I'm granting you power of attorney anyway.
You're being very aggressive, and you're assuming that I understand you well enough when I don't. I've spoken to you for 30 minutes. I don't understand
Well, would you rather I
well
assume
enough.
that you don't understand me when you do?
Fuck, I wish I could. I wish I could.
understand.
I'm being aggressively.
I wish I could translate between the two of these. Oh man.
Charitable.
Ah, fuck.
And this may not be charitability. That
Media.
you want.
No, I don't want to jump in. I don't want
I'm
to. That's like
giving it to
super
you
attention
all the
whory.
time.
But like, I see where
You
both
just
of
told
you
me
are
to
coming
fuck
from.
off. Where's the aggressive charitability?
Well, I meant. Well, that was a different
I
topic.
think you're getting very defensive, and I think
No,
you're
I'm getting
frustrated that-
I'm getting anti-defensive. I'm not going to defend myself.
You're frustrated that you recognize that I understand what you're getting at to a degree, and I do, but I don't feel that I genuinely have enough understanding to
I feel
explain
that.
it back to my chat simply.
I know.
You know when you
I feel that you do.
read a book and
Yeah.
you're like, I get that book and I see what they're getting at, but
Yeah.
I couldn't explain this to someone else.
Well, I actually
enough?
heard a quote from a book that was it's really stuck with me. If you want to understand
A person,
man,
don't
go
talk to
his
their enemies or their
nor
friends,
To the
yeah.
man himself.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't understand you well enough yet. I'm
Well,
trying to.
your chat
I
can't
have to
ask
ask
me.
a lot more
I am me.
questions.
I can't explain myself.
Oh no.
Right.
You're
and
a
then
neutral
I'm
party.
going to analyze it as a neutral party, but I don't feel that I am like in that book. Okay, so that's great. Let's bring it back to Chesterton's book. In that book, Chesterton,
Yeah.
where it's called Heretics, and he's reviewing various philosophers. He's
Yeah.
known these people. He's been friends with them their whole life. He's read all of their books. He can describe their views.
The only reason why I would want to moderate
before
just this
he gets
particular
into
disagreement is because I don't want them to get stuck on this for
He
an hour.
steelmans their positions, but he can only do this because he's gotten to know them at a deep level, like he's studied them. So when you look at that quote, he's not talking about get someone at face value that's a random third party. That's not what that quote means. That quote means
I don't think you're a
nor the
random
man
third
himself
party.
nor the enemy is going to be able to
I think you are-
interpret the
Mr.
person well
Girl's been
enough,
getting
but it
stuck on
doesn't
shit for
mean the
hours, so many
random
people- yeah, I
idiot on
know.
the
He's
street
just
or the
not-
random
he's
person
missing, like,
just
a part of the
meeting
communication
someone or
here.
just
Don't call
beginning
yourself
to
an
work
idiot,
is going
Laura.
Or the other
I think
person
it's
is so
pretty
primed
obvious
against
that you're-
them.
calling myself an idiot. I think
Well,
you
it's a
missed the
second.
point there. I said that doesn't mean a random person, whether they be an idiot, a person having a random conversation, or
I
a
messaged
random,
both of them, but I don't-
You know,
we'll- I mean, we'll
this
see.
That's not what that
Fuck.
quote was referring to, and I do think you're having a bit of condescension.
He's doing the
I wonder
opposite of
if you
condescending.
project a bit
He's doing
about
the
this
opposite of
constant
condescending.
Analyzing, and I'm just saying, I wonder this constant analyzing about what other people are doing with mental games
Yes.
because you're doing it.
No.
It could be.
No. Oh, she's. Ah, fuck. They're not gonna move past this.
Are you saying that you don't understand what my mental game position is right now in this interaction? I feel like you do understand it, so that feels also not true. Do you not understand why?
appreciate that
Do you understand why I don't
you-
want to answer the question? And do you know exactly how I feel? I know you know how I feel.
I'll explain to my audience.
Oh, maybe we'll see if
Explain
Lauren
whatever you
has
want.
it. We'll see if Lauren can do
I'm
it.
saying I don't want to answer their questions. I give you full authority to answer for me, if you want to or not.
So I'm not.
Oh,
So
is she
when
going to?
I think about when people ask me a question like, do you think that, I'm trying to think of a good example.
Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Nazi Party?
The Great Replacement is real or something? Or do you think that immigration is bad or good? Like those are not questions that I can possibly give yes or no answers to, because there is so much depth and nuance to those questions. There are instances in which immigration are good and bad. There are instances in which I could say aspects of what people would call the Great Replacement are true, whereas other aspects are misportrayed. did you do X? Did you do Y? Well, there's complexity to that. I understand. But when it comes, I think there are some definitive questions, and there have to be some definitive answers in this world. Truth does exist. I'm not saying that either of us have it, but there are definitives.
Absolutely. I don't think that's the analogous situation.
If you ask me, okay, so, there we go. Like I said, I'm not sure I understand fully, and I need you to believe me when I say I'm not sure I understand fully what you're getting at.
I don't believe you.
Well, then how can we continue to have this conversation?
No, don't get stuck. Don't get stuck here.
Genuine questions.
Check your
I believe
Discord.
everything else you're saying.
Fuck.
Just not this one.
Which aspect?
Okay.
Which aspect?
Well, because I already asked you. Okay. Do you like being asked if you're a Nazi?
No, but I can answer it easily. I'm not.
Yes, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if you like it.
No, because I think it comes with an inherent assumption that I am. But if someone's chat if your chat were like, is Lauren a Nazi, Lauren a Nazi, and you said, my chat just want to know, yes, no, are you a Nazi? I'd say no. And maybe, there's actually an interesting analysis.
Call them? I already messaged them both. Shut the fuck up.
Like you said, the man themselves can't define them. There does have to be a degree of outside analysis, but I think that's where the rest of the conversation comes in. You can give people definitive phrases and then they can listen to you for the rest of the conversation to see if your actions match up with that. Mm-hmm. But it's not like there's zero value to someone's self-description.
I'm not saying there's zero value. That's not my point. My point is that you don't like...
what I'm saying?
I understand what you... I do understand what you're saying, but I don't know that you understand what I'm saying.
You're going to have a very hard time on the internet. You're going to have a very hard time.
I think we're both having a pretty fucking hard time on the internet. I think there's no question about that. I'm already having a hard time on the internet.
Well, this is just what it is, It's not...
Well, it sucks. But like, can I explain? I feel like you asked me a question, but I feel like you are not understanding my answer.
Okay. The floor is yours. I'm listening.
Do you like it when people ask if you're a Nazi?
No.
Fucking dubstep.
Okay, you said you don't like it because it implies that you are. But
it implies that there's a question.
Don't you also not like it just because it's annoying?
Correct.
I don't like virtue signaling. I find it detestable. I don't like being asked to do it. I don't like it when someone's like, whoa, I'm getting uncomfortable. Can you make some broad statements about what kind of person you are so I can calm down and listen to what you're saying?
That's what
I'm like, well, no.
And he feels like she already knows,
listen.
but she's
That's
just
fine.
asking to virtue signal to her audience.
I'm not talking about age of consent right now.
He's accusing her of virtue signaling. I don't know if she's hearing that or she understands.
Do I have to tell you what I think the age of consent should be to be able to have a conversation about cuties? And based on this conversation, you're telling me you don't know what my position on the age of consent is, or I have a guess. I just don't believe that. I don't believe you.
I have a guess that you would generally be against pedophilia. I have a guess that you believe the age of consent is probably pretty fair where it is right now. That would be my assumption. But you're exploring these ideas with a mind that I think people would argue is too open.
Mm-hmm. But people, including you?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to you long enough.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if your chat has questions about where I stand, and they want me to virtue signal to calm them down, I don't care if your chat's calm.
I don't care if they're calm either, but I'm offering that platform. I figured,
I'm not going to answer their questions. I'll answer your questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I don't like being asked to virtue signal, and I reject the construct of like, whoa, I can't proceed listening to this talk about cuties if this.
I don't know if you're a pedophile or not.
Like if he thinks the age of consent should be 11, then I'm out. Like it doesn't.
I can see why you would enjoy speaking to Destiny.
What is that supposed to mean?
He definitely doesn't do that.
No.
When I think about that, like I've
you
never
don't do
had
it either.
him. Sorry?
You don't do it either. And I assume you'd hate it when it's being done to you.
Yeah. So okay.
So let's not do it.
I think I can explain it to my chat. I know you don't like me addressing my chat. In fact, I will close it.
You can
after I explain this.
No. If you want to keep an eye on chat. And I'm going to do the same, then that's fine. And you can address it to them as you want. I'd like to hear what you're saying to them, though.
Okay, so
Uh-oh. Okay.
when I speak to Destiny chat, you guys will notice he never asks me to clarify, you know, are you a Nazi? Are you a racist? Are you a white supremacist? Are you all these things your Wikipedia page say? We have the conversation and he leaves it up to people to decide what I've said and what my views are based on the actual contents of our conversation rather than these kind of labels that must always be addressed and always be questioned beforehand to ensure that the conversation is acceptable to have or not. And that's nothing. Even when I came back and every single Twitch creator, every single YouTube creator that interviewed me wanted to ensure we did an inquisition about my past, he didn't do that. And I don't think he did that to you either. He just wanted to actually prod and pry your mind to see what we could figure out through, dissecting your beliefs. Because you can't find out what someone is through a yes or no question. I'm not sure you can. Sorry, I'm not sure if that makes sense. I'm grappling with the idea right now. But I also got offended to an extent when you suggested that you wanted to just interview me instead of just talk.
Yeah,
because I thought it was going to just be an inquisition of are you this, are you that, are you this, are you that.
Yeah, and I should have presented that differently, because that's usually what happens.
Look at us, dealing with our internet trauma.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty pissed off.
Hey, stop, sir. Stop, sir. Or I'm gonna shoot.
What?
Oh, it's you.
Do you see the value in direct questions, though, if they're thought out well?
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, you want to fucking take these?
Yes.
Maybe not yes or no questions.
No. My problem with it is not that it was a direct yes or no question.
It's that it was a virtue signal.
Question.
Yeah. For
And
the
it
audience.
had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'd already given you the information to answer it in the previous 30 seconds. So my problem was that you were passing the buck from your upset chat and asking me to calm them down. I don't like calming people down. I don't like placating people. Pisses me off.
Well, you're gonna have a fun time on the internet, that's for sure. So that's the one thing I thought was very interesting when you were talking to Destiny, the one conversation I did listen to, where, what was the line? You were saying that you were gonna drag him off the cliff with you in trying to change the way that the internet was. Can you remember what the line was exactly?
I don't, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. I want to change this about the internet.
Shit, I'm so sorry.
At least in a little bubble around myself. If that's all I can do, then that's fine. But I refuse to play this game. I really don't like it.
It used to be different. It used to be a bit more like.
sorry.
What you're
Don't
talking
accept that
about,
invite. That was an
where
accident.
people would just go in and engage in the conversation, and there wasn't the attitude of here's all of these. Who are you? You have to answer. You have to answer these direct questions. You have to check this box, that box before it's acceptable for you to come on this show or be on this platform. Even just 6-7 years ago, were you online then?
No.
Like doing content?
No.
And, there's also this assumption, we addressed this at the very beginning, this assumption that if you speak to someone and you speak to them the way we're speaking to each other, where there's not screaming going on, that you agree, which is very difficult to overcome.
Right. So
because I want to be able to speak to everyone like this,
right,
even
right.
if I
And
really dislike them.
we have to be screaming at each other to show that we are not each other, and then it's impossible to talk to anybody who's different from you, which ultimately is very boring. Because then either people are screaming at each other, which is ultimately
There's
boring, or
on-site
people
guy
are
in
chatting
military
about
tunnels,
nothing
be
because they
careful.
already agree on everything.
Right.
What kind of gun does he have?
MP5?
Fuck. What's the
Or
name?
Tom-
All right,
Thompson?
well, I'll give you the floor since I've
Cunt
been...
Lord or something? I don't know.
Okay.
I
we
did
can-
exactly what you asked me not to do to me. Little inquisition against you. Yeah. So I'll
Well,
give
you
the
didn't.
floor. Where do wanna go with
You were
this?
complicit in a chat inquisition against me. The thing that I heard that upsets me the most is from what I understand,
Okay, I think they're gonna get through this.
that you blocked a rescue ship
Okay.
from leaving harbor.
Now, what do you think actually happened there? If you, like, what?
I
what
don't
do you
know.
think of how humans behave and like how the human
Hey.
psyche works? What do you think actually happened
I
there?
have no fucking idea. I'm telling you that what I heard.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have much of an opinion on what actually happened because I don't know. I know that I don't know. What scares me is the image of you in a raft in front of a ship that's supposed to go rescue drowning migrants, preventing them from doing so.
So there are various
And that-
approaches to. Do you
That's
want
it.
me to explain what happened?
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the image that is painted. Whether it's true or not, it's a painful image to have painted of you. So, I'm not looking to. I don't want it to be an inquisition. I genuinely just wanted to tell you that the image freaks me out, but I do want to understand it. And I don't want you to feel that you have to defend yourself. And if you don't want to talk about it, then you don't have to.
Like you said earlier, it does get. Some of these conversations get boring because you go over them so many times, right? But on another hand, I feel like the more I look back on circumstances and analyze them better, the better I am at explaining to other people my thought process. So there was no stopping of any refugee ships or rescue ships. It's one of those complex gray zones where, you know, if you want to do your worst portrayal of an incident, you can, to some accuracy, say Lauren attempted to block a rescue ship. To some accuracy, you could say that.
What percent accuracy do you feel that is the case?
You can say a
feel
lot
like
of
I'm
things
outpaced.
that are true that, when given context, are almost the complete opposite situation, is what I'll say to that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Nope.
So
No. Well,
a statement can
it
be
makes sense.
100% true, but your opinion of it can change 100% when given more context to that statement. Like,
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying
Girl
for
killed
you.
someone, for example.
I'm saying no. I don't want. You don't have to. Look, we can have a much shorter conversation about this. You don't have to. You don't have to do this.
No, but do you get what I'm saying when I say that?
I do,
Like,
but you don't
I
have to. I get what you're doing, but you don't have to. I want to know
Okay.
what you think happened.
I would love to see MrGirl talk with the top
Okay,
Jewish
so-
architect.
I'm not going to compare what
David
somebody else
Hackman.
said happened against what you think, and then try to get you to reconcile or argue with you. I want to know: do you feel that you blocked a ship that was supposed to go potentially save drowning people? Does that resonate
No.
with you?
No, not even a little bit. That's
What do you? Okay,
completely-
so I just want to know what you think. I'm not gonna try to trip you up. I'm not gonna attack you. I'm not gonna say, well, what about this? I don't want to do that. I just want to know what you think.
No, that's not what I think at all. It's it's very frustrating watching people make that claim about me, because I feel it is always from a politically charged stance, because this is something, the blocking of illegal migration, that happens every single day in every single country by every elected official. So Joe Biden right now would not allow Haitian boats full of Haitian illegal migrants to land in Miami, Florida, right? They capture them and take them back and land them in Haiti. That's the policy. And, you know, they also wouldn't allow for random people to take ships out and pick them up and bring them to Miami. So, but yet Joe Biden, who
Lauren.
would hold that policy, would never be compared to me, right? So this is the
no.
policy that I support. Yeah?
Will you stop?
What am I doing wrong in your mind?
Well, imagine if you asked me what I said about Cuties, and I
I
said,
feel
okay,
like I've outpaced him intellectually.
Trump. Let's take a look at some of the things Trump has said about young girls, okay? And let's not forget, the guy owns a beauty pageant, all right? You don't have to do this. Your own chat likes you, and my chat likes you too, and I'm not trying to fuck with you. I just want to know what you think happened.
Oh, so what? Okay, just straight what happened. So
For you, from your what's your narrative?
From my perspective, went out. There was a ship called the Aquarius.
Okay.
It was going into Libyan waters and picking people up and bringing them to Italy. There was an overflow of illegal migration in Italy, which I believe is a terrible thing because it overwhelms refugee and asylum systems.
I feel like
it simply is not sustainable. It's terrible for everyone involved.
Fire rises.
Migrants as well. So I wanted to oppose this ship, as many even within European governments opposed the
She
ship
has
because
qualified
it was
so much.
contributing to what people would call a pull factor of bringing more illegal migrants over and out on a dangerous mission into the sea. And so went out and protested the ship, didn't block it, nothing. It had no migrants on it, and it just went on its merry way and went back to doing what it was doing. It was never blocked. I was eventually shut down by the government for under investigation for various illegal activities. We don't know if it will be charged or not, but it's been shut down.
Can I ask you a couple clarifying questions?
Yep.
Okay, so the claim is... you went out on a raft to protest it with flares. That part is true?
I need to shut down my notifications here.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. So what happened was...
Wait.
There was a video that was going to be shot of just saying... Basically, it was going to be a press picture. Let's get a picture, kind of the way that Greenpeace does their protests, where you get the boat in front of the big tanker. Yeah. Do a little photo shoot to show there are people who oppose the mass bringing of illegal migrants into Europe.
Understood.
And when we were waiting there, and this is a very interesting misconception I see about it as well. When we were waiting there, the ship left late. So it was supposed to leave at like 4 p.m. or something during the day. And we were waiting in a little dinghy boat, not a dinghy boat, but like an electric one that we had rented. And the ship kept delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying until it got dark out. And we were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this photo shoot? I found a flare, like the regular boat flare that you take for when you've got an emergency or something, in the ship, hidden in like the little container part under the wheel. And I was like, oh, this will work perfect. It'll light us up, because it was a handheld flare, so it doesn't fire. It just lights the direct area around you. And that will make it so that our ship is visible for the picture. And so I held that flare up for the picture, took the picture, it got uploaded, and a journalist at the Hill.
What?
Said that I was firing flares at a refugee boat.
Okay.
There were no refugees on it. It was completely empty.
Puff
it was
of
not
Water is very good at video games.
All. And the only person at risk of dying was myself and everyone on the little dinghy boat, because the ship just kept moving forward despite us going by it. So.
Okay. A couple questions.
Yeah.
You did not want to block it from leaving.
No, I think that would have been good.
It would have been good to block it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did not block it, but you did intend to, or you would have if you could have?
There was the intention there.
Okay, so you did intend to block it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the claim that the ship was on its way to go rescue possibly drowning migrants, is that true?
I believe that, it was going to rescue possibly drowning migrants, but people don't understand a lot of the maritime policy in that area. So maritime policy is, if you see people in distress, no matter who you are as a ship, you have to go and help them and bring them to the closest port of entry, generally. Typically, that's what works, certainly in America.
Is just not
if
ready
you
for this
see
guy.
Boats that are coming from Haiti, even if they're caught like right on Miami's shore, they have to be brought back to Haiti. Otherwise, you're creating a pull factor for more people to come out in boats. Like, hey, we're going to get picked up and brought along. So typically, there are two supports for this kind of policy, you can just try to stop the pull factor altogether. Nope, if you come out here, you're getting brought straight back to the country you came from or going straight into detention. This is the Australian policy, and it stopped drownings by 100%. They had like 0 drownings the years after they put this policy in place. And then there are people who say they're going to come out anyways, and you have to save them. You have
Lauren.
to bring out boats. Yep. I know you're going to say stop it, but this is important to explain.
I'm going to
Because
ask
there are
you
two
if you-
approaches.
I
And my
just-
approach, I believe, is not to have a pull factor at all and not to have these ships going out into Libyan waters and picking people up.
I understand that. Do you want to continue, or can I ask?
Yeah, no,
my
go ahead.
questions? Okay. So you wanted to block the boat. You intended to block the boat, and the boat was going to go rescue people who were likely or potentially drowning.
Didn't believe that at the time either, and I'm not sure I still do to this day. There's still an ongoing investigation because the claim was from Italian prosecutors at the time that they were going into Libyan waters where the boats were just taking off, picking them up when they weren't in distress.
If you had known
and
it
then
at the
bringing
time,
them to Europe.
if you had known it at the time, would you still have tried to block the ship leaving harbor?
If I had known what? That they were going to go and save a drowning group of people that moment? Of
Yeah.
course not. No. But I didn't believe that, and I'm not sure I do to this day.
If you found out with incontrovertible proof that that ship did go and rescue a group of drowning people, would you regret trying to block it?
See, that's a difficult question.
You kind of have to
yes,
say yes to that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really difficult question
Not really.
because it still comes into that push-pull factor, right? Is that part making sense? That's what I was trying to explain, the push-pull factor. Because
I understand you're saying it could create more migration
Yes.
and more drownings in the long run.
Yes.
If you
So,
allow, so you're saying that perhaps letting some people drown in the short term will save more people and save the overloaded immigration system in the long run.
As horrific as that sounds, yes, which is why I don't think that particular boat should be supported. That's not to say I don't support rescue missions, I do. But
Well-
there were really good missions that happened before, like Nostra, which what they did is they went out and it was government-funded missions. They went out, they rescued people drowning at sea, but they also arrested human traffickers at the same time.
I think
which
that you need to
created
have
a
an
rescue
answer.
factor with also, sorry?
I think you need to have an answer for this, even if the answer is that you don't know.
But you're doing the same thing to me that you were talking about earlier. There isn't a simple answer to this.
No, not an answer about the truth, an answer about how you feel or what you believe.
Do you ever feel like an
I guess I don't know is a good answer. It's a better one than I have right now. But to me, it's not necessarily I don't know or I don't have an answer. It's I believe there are much better approaches, and that approach was genuinely causing more death. I genuinely believe with all my heart that sending out ships and promoting open borders policy led to way more death than a policy that said you will not be allowed in, you will be brought back to your port of that you departed from. I believe that
How would you
would've
even
saved
know that?
thousands of lives.
What
tens of
port somebody's
thousands.
coming
But
from?
what people are going to corner you on is, do you believe that so strongly that you're willing to cause the death of, say, 50 people that day?
But I didn't. I see.
I know.
That's
I
asking
know you're
an
saying-
impossible hypothetical because I
It's
thought
not
they were
impossible.
going into
It's a
Libyan
pretty
waters
easy
and picking
hypothetical.
up people that were not in distress at all.
It's
and
not.
bringing
It's not
them
an
over.
impossible hypothetical. It's just a hypothetical.
No, on a human level, I of course would not want. I would not want to stop
I think you have to bite the bullet on that
anyone
one.
from saving anyone who was drowning.
Even
Of
if it's
course.
going to save,
Of
even
course.
if you believe it's going to save thousands in the long run.
Well,
You have
see, that's the thing. I was giving you the answer for the longer context before, and then you asked about that individual circumstance.
I'm
In
asking.
that individual
Well, the only reason
circumstance-
I'm not saying nobody thinks that you're drowning people for fun. Like obviously your point in doing it, in attempting to block the ship, is not to hurt people. It's to protest what you perceive as a broken system. And that could have the effect of hurting people in the short term. And you're saying that when you did it, you did not think that there was any chance of hurting people in the short term, or you didn't know, or you didn't think about it.
I didn't think there would be any chance, because it was our understanding at that time that the ship was directly going into Libyan waters, because there had been tracking systems on the ship. You could watch where it was going. It wasn't going into the middle of the, ocean. It was going right into Libyan waters, so where they would have just taken off. And
would there be drowning people in the middle of the ocean, though? Like, it feels like if you're going to run into problems, it's probably pretty soon after departure. Like, what are the chances?
From my understanding,
oceans are really big bodies of water. Now, I could be wrong, but I feel like the chance of randomly finding somebody drowning in the ocean feels like it'd be pretty difficult. Like, it feels like it's probably going to be about, like, closer to, like, where the boats are either taking off from or landing. That'd be my guess, but...
You're in a difficult position in talking about this, which I want to acknowledge, which is that you're being asked to answer to hypotheticals that... you didn't stop the ship, so we don't know what would have happened if you had. So we don't... You're being asked to answer for things that didn't happen, but could have happened, and that you, at the time, it sounds like, did not consider, and whether you should have considered it or not is another question. And then how you feel about it in retrospect, I think after being... attacked relentlessly for it, and the story being twisted and oversimplified, particularly by people who don't like you, I assume also makes it, like, more complicated to talk about.
Yeah, that's a very good understanding. I always think of, like, how we could play a lot of these eternal hypotheticals with a lot of activism and a lot of just politics in general, Like, a lot of people that probably would say this about me have partaken in BLM protests where they've blocked roads and felt that that was, the best way to go about raising awareness. The government won't listen to this greater issue that we have unless we cause some sort of scene. And what if it stopped an ambulance, and someone died in that ambulance while you were doing that? Well, that didn't happen, but this could be applied to so many different circumstances, right? But then also, there's a lot of instances in life where it's like, what if I do nothing? What if I do nothing? Then are you not at fault for a lot of things that happen in the world as well? We could play this fault game of hypotheticals with everyone to many different degrees and extents.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm
yes, I understand what you're saying.
There.
I get what you're saying, but it's... How old were you?
21.
Would you do it again?
21. No.
Why?
Because I think there are better approaches. It did nothing but cause chaos and havoc in my life and a lot of others. It was kind of it didn't do anything, ultimately. Actually, you know what? I won't say it didn't do anything, but I think those things can be done a lot smarter, because eventually there was a German government and a few EU officials and a few ministers that actually launched investigation into that ship, the Aquarius, and specifically named me as bringing attention to it. So it did do that to an extent. In fact, I did a video called Vindicated on YouTube about that. But I don't think I had to do it in a way that made people misunderstand the intention to such a great degree and still raise awareness. A video investigating the activities of the Aquarius and bringing these forms to government could have had the same effect, in my opinion, as that incident without all of the fallout of people literally thinking I was shooting puppies with a flare gun or something in the Mediterranean or drowning babies.
Do you think that it's irresponsible to block a rescue ship without fully considering the possible death that could be caused by doing that?
Well, why do you think I wouldn't consider that?
Because I asked you,
And you said
if
you hadn't.
thought they were
Yeah.
going to save drowning people, and you said you didn't think about it.
I said that my thoughts were they were going into Libyan waters as a ferry service to pick people up, so of course I had thought about that.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah.
You tried to block the ship knowing that it was possibly going to go rescue drowning people.
Is this a trap? I don't know if he realizes he's... We'll see how she responds, but...
Didn't block the ship, first of all, and
Yes,
secondly...
Yes, but you attempted to.
I
Can I give you some advice?
Yep.
Because she said she wasn't trying to block the ship, she just
Stop
wanted a
dodging
photo
this.
up. She said she just wanted a photo up.
Like,
I'm
you
not
tried to
dodging
block it.
man.
We had to go on like a whole 5-minute loop to get you to just...
Because you just said when you blocked the ship, so... of
Oh,
course
sorry.
I'm going to
Sorry.
correct you. Yeah.
You attempted
Yeah.
to... That's my fault then. When you attempted to block the ship, knowing that it was going to possibly go rescue drowning people.
Wait, we're killing on sight from now on, okay?
Is that true?
Fuck you, Dark Bob.
Sure, yeah, I guess I can accept that, but that's not what the intention of
Obviously,
the blocking.
yes. I'm not saying that's... I'm saying that
that's
that
not
would
what the
be...
intention of the blocking was.
I understand.
But okay, so here's what...
But I want to ask you
there's
something.
there's a very important clarification here. So after that happened, there was a ship that went out called...
You're going to
Sea Star.
lose... Everybody listening, you're losing
No,
them as soon as
no,
you say this.
listen,
They don't care.
listen.
I promise you they don't care about what you're saying.
This is important. This is important.
Not. It's not important to them,
You don't know
though.
what I'm going to say. What am I going to say?
It doesn't matter what you say right now. I'm telling you. I want to give you advice about...
I don't want your advice. I want to say what I'm going to say.
Okay, well then go ahead.
I'll have your advice after I say what I'm going to say. So there's a ship that went out called the Sea Star that had the explicit mission of investigating the behavior of NGOs that were potentially colluding with human traffickers. All of the people that would accuse me of being this horrible, awful human being that wanted to kill migrants by stopping that ship opposed this ship and protested to have it stopped. Now, that ship also had the explicit mission of picking up drowning people at sea. Should they not be asking all the same moral questions that we're speaking about right now? Did they not think about what protesting or signing petitions to block that ship would do? It could have gone out and saved 50 people drowning. We could have this conversation about every ship in the damn sea because it's maritime law that they have to pick people up that are drowning. So when you're putting me in these awkward moral conundrums that make it sound as though I'm the only one with this question when you could ask literally anyone this question.
Motherfucker, I just said 11-year-olds were hot. Don't talk to me about this shit. I have no sympathy for your inability to answer this question.
It's not an inability.
That's not
to
true.
answer this
I have
question.
sympathy for it. I do have sympathy for it.
Okay,
But I want to challenge you. I want to help you.
I did because I genuinely felt it was going to change and make the world a better place. I genuinely felt that asylum seekers were having their lives effed up because there were a bunch of people that were paying tons of money to come over and take their spot. The
I get why you did it.
Overloaded. There was a ferry service, and more people were drowning because of this.
I get why you did it.
Why the fuck did you say 11-year-olds were hot and do a video about cuties?
Because it's the goddamn fucking truth. Because it's true.
Why is that important to you? Why? Like,
Oh,
what?
no.
I'll answer that in a second.
Oh, it's all... Now we're all...
I genuinely, have this belief that there is a moral imperative
Nazis
to
versus
stop mass
pedos.
migration for the sake
I told
of
you,
both
Nazis
regular migrants
versus
and
pedos.
asylums and indigenous people in the country alike. What is the big moral feat you were trying to make by making a review of Cuties that ruined your fucking life? Like, I don't understand.
I thought you were better than this, Lauren. I really did. Can I give you some advice?
That's such
Oh,
a
no.
mental game. Stop playing these little mental games. This is why you pick into people's minds so much about what you're doing, because you're playing these mental
I'm
games.
disappointed in you, Lauren.
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
Can I give you some advice?
If you like me, I don't.
She's
That's
not
not
gonna want
true.
advice
That's a
from
lie.
you.
Don't lie. Can I ask you
I don't
something?
know.
Or can I give you some
don't care
advice?
if you like
You
me.
do care if I like you. Shut up. Can I give you some advice?
Let's hear it.
Okay. I think this would go much better if you just bit the bullets. Just be a bullet-eating vacuum cleaner.
We
And so-
spent the first half of this
Oh,
interview with me
Jesus
doing the exact
Christ.
same thing to you that you are doing to me now.
Can I
And I'm the
give
only
you
one
some
that's
advice?
actually engaging with your direct questions.
Do you,
that
you
are
didn't- you didn't-
actually like,
Whoa! You didn't ask me any direct questions. What do you want me to answer? Do you want to go back and ask me more
do
about
you
cuties?
think the age of consent? Like, I asked you.
You already
are
know
you
the
a
answer to that.
pedophile? Yes, no. Do you think?
You didn't ask me that.
You should already know the answer to all of these questions you're asking me as well, based on what we've already spoken about. Like it's.
No,
really
I literally
frustrating. You're
don't
like,
know
"Bite
that. I
these bullets,
literally
Lauren,
don't
bite
know
these
the answer
bullets."
to these questions.
Why
Can I
did
give
you
you
believe me when I said that to you? Why did you refuse to
Because
believe
you
me
were
when I
lying.
said that to you?
You were lying,
I
and then
wasn't
you
lying, and you
said
clearly can't read me.
You said that you said that you didn't know what I think the age of consent should be, and then you immediately turned around to your chat 2 minutes later and told them accurately what I think the age of consent should be.
I sat there and I made my
Okay.
best assumption.
Oh, well, it was a great
So
guess.
maybe should I make you sit here and make your best
fucking
assumption about me, or just
statistician.
let you ask me questions
You
and
can
tell me
chat.
to bite the bullet when I give you answers you don't like?
Can I finish my advice?
Why is this all advice for me?
It doesn't have to
I
be.
don't-
You can
this
say no.
isn't-
If you don't want my advice, I won't give it to you. Getting advice is annoying, especially from creators who are smaller than you and flailing. Trust me, I understand, and I'm smaller than you, and I'm flailing.
I mind that
you don't
want to
be me. You don't want.
condescending this whole call,
He is really condescending.
and like you're psychoanalyzing me while condescending at times.
Yeah, that's
and
a rough
and
combination.
getting
I don't
it
know how to turn that
wrong.
off. You're getting what?
You're getting like the assumptions you're making about me, where you're like, you're lying there, you're doing this, it's
Yeah.
like you're doing this armchair
people really
psychology
don't like
around me,
that.
and it's wrong, and it's sending me out of whack, and I'm having to sit here and think about it and be like, how do I answer that when
I
he doesn't
sound
believe
like
what
I
I'm
know
saying?
what I'm
Like, how do
talking
I-
about, though. That's what's confusing. It seems like I'm
So, like,
right.
are you playing mind games? I'm so confused.
No,
You're
I'm
looking
trying to
into these
empathize with
corners
what it's
where
like to talk to me. I assume it's really annoying. So I'll try to be less condescending. It's not my intention to be condescending. I just come off that way.
I'm gonna start drinking Corona again, like my chatter's saying.
I don't want you to drive. I don't want to drive you to drink. I will try to be less condescending. And if you think I'm being condescending, just call me out on it. That's fine, and I'll do my best not to.
I appreciate that, but can you appreciate? Like I don't mind having these difficult conversations. I mind the way that they've been presented to some degree, and I mind to some degree having them with someone that I don't know that well. Like these are the kind of conversations I appreciate having with someone like I really respect, and they're
I can't
and
help
not
you
to say
there.
I disrespect you or something, but it's more so like I know you well, and I know you're asking me questions for my best intentions. When I start to feel like I'm being set up for mental traps, where it's like, oh, what's that? Give me a second. I just need to think of this. Like, why did you beat your wife? And it's like, wait, no, what? No, I didn't. And then you're like,
But I
bite the
did.
bullet, just answer
I
the
did
question.
beat my wife.
Why did you beat your wife? Why did you beat your wife?
I
And
made
it's
a whole
like, no,
video
wait,
about
what?
why I used to beat my wife.
Well, no, I'm talking about your questions to me, and then I'm
I
saying,
know,
no, that's
but I'm
not
saying
what
I'm
happened.
giving you.
Here's,
I'm trying to lead by example. If you say why did you beat your wife, I'll just answer truthfully. I don't know if I beat her, but I hit her.
Projection onto me, like you want me to be like you when I just am not. I don't have an answer. I don't
want you
have
to-
the desire in me. There isn't
want-
this desire in me that's like, yeah, no, I wish migrants would drown. I don't have that answer for you because that's not how I feel. Whereas your answer simply is, yeah, I think 11-year-olds are hot, and maybe that's your answer, which is pretty freaking
I didn't
wacky.
say- whoa,
but,
whoa,
yeah, I'm
whoa.
still
I didn't-
talking to you here.
I didn't.
Or
I
I
think
thought
that's
they were in that movie, but I don't have that kind of answer.
They're not
You want
all
me to bite
hot.
the bullet.
I don't even think all 18-year-olds are hot. Some of them, you know, everybody's got their own proclivities. Now,
You want me to bite bullets? I can't bite. That's the problem. That's not to say I don't have strange things about my mind, because I feel like this is what you look for. You're like, everyone has strange things in their mind. Everyone I don't
think I'm asking you.
Other people and have them be honest about it.
I think the bullet I'm looking for you to bite is not strange at all.
Okay, what's the bullet you want me to bite?
It's going to be condescending. I'm going to be advising you. Are you sure you are ready?
All right, let's get the condescension.
If I were you, I'm going to guess how you feel.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you if you're wrong or right, because you've been misreading me a lot this call. I'll just tell you that. But
if I were you, I would probably regret attempting to block the ship on one level, not overall and not holistically. I would stick to my guns about why I did it. And I think your answer that there are better ways to accomplish these things is good. But I think you're still sidestepping the drowning part, which is the only part people are fixated on. And I think, based on how I detect you feeling, and I could be wrong, I would probably just say I regret doing something that could have ended up killing people. And you know, whether I believe the system's killing people indirectly, I could have much more directly ended up killing people, and I don't want blood on my hands. And I think there's a way for me to accomplish these goals and advocate for this without getting blood on my hands. And to the extent that I almost did or could have, I'm glad the ship brushed past us. I'm glad I failed to block it, because that would have been a mistake.
He seems to have a pretty common moral value system, impulsive thought process.
It's not an apology.
Of expectations around civil
it would be an acknowledgement.
Wow, good question.
If you are haunted by the idea that you could have ended up killing a bunch of people indirectly, if you're haunted by that, I would acknowledge that. I wouldn't be too proud to.
I'm not haunted by it because this is a hypothetical. Like, I have no haunting about this. Nor do I, like, okay, sorry, I've just got to be... Like the ministers that put in the policy in Australia where they said, nope, stopping all the boats, no more, zero. We're putting out advertisements.
Hey, I don't want to do this whataboutism thing. You're assuming I have a very...
It stops the overall trend of drowning and death.
The problem with your whataboutism...
I don't think they have...
Stop it.
Sorry, go ahead.
The problem with the whataboutism arguments is that you're assuming I have views about other politicians or your political opponents, or that I am one that I don't have. I don't care about that. And bringing them up does not answer the question of the problem, I think, or the part that freaks me out is that...
Sorry, one second. I'm so sorry. Real life.
Oh no.
Sorry, what's that? Sorry, real life called.
I understand.
All right, sorry. Continue.
Sorry.
The part that freaks me out is the idea that you did something that could have resulted in people drowning, and that you either are not disturbed by this.
I want chat to bully me for my stupid and out of place donut that interrupts
when I say disturbed by it, I'm saying in a complex way, you may still be proud of what you did or attempted to do.
I feel like you're not thinking hard enough about what you're saying. Okay. Do you think that every BLM activist that takes over
she's doing it again
should feel the same way I feel because they may have possibly stopped an ambulance?
Well, why don't we let's make the analogy being a BLM activist
stopping an ambulance.
An ambulance.
The only difference is what they'd be doing was supporting illegal activity, whereas what I was doing was supporting the.
I don't like the whataboutism argument. We can go down this road, but it's
No,
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's a good idea.
Putting me in a position of wanting me to feel bad about a hypothetical that didn't happen. That you could apply
I don't want you to feel bad. No. I think you're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding.
How my chat are reading it is they're saying he's projecting his own self-guilt.
Yes,
onto you,
exactly.
He's trying to move the goalposts to make you sound guilty when you're not.
No, let me explain.
Really frustrating.
I think you're misunderstanding then. I'm saying this is how I would feel, and this is how I am guessing you feel. If you don't feel this way, then I have new advice. So if you don't feel haunted by the possibility that you could have killed people by blocking the ship, then I would certainly not say you feel that. I don't think you should lie. I'm saying that this is how I would feel. So if you don't feel haunted by that,
I thought she was an honest interlocutor. What happened?
I still think you're way too defensive.
The MrGirl style of conversation is very aggressive.
Because there's nothing I can say, because people they're creating a hypothetical I need to apologize for. Nothing happened.
Once it feels like you're not having a conversation, but instead it's an adversarial thing where it feels like the other person is trying to nail you on something, the tone of your conversation is going to get way different. So she has less of an interest right now in engaging with his questions and more trying to deflect or explain or justify her actions, rather than an honest engagement with what he's asking. That's the problem. It's because he's too. I'm okay with adversarial people if I think they're coming at it in a good way. Most people aren't. Like, it's a fun conversation, but it's a challenging one, and most people don't want that type of challenging conversation where they feel like their reputation or something, or their character or their moral character is at stake.
Take today, because I think it needs to remain in the government's hands.
Okay, but that's but you have it gets complicated when you say it's not the same.
She had this much trouble with hypotheticals in her comment with you. Her problem right now isn't with hypotheticals. That's what it seems like the problem is. The problem though is she feels like her character's under attack.
Because in retrospect, it's not helpful. It wasn't. It didn't.
That's
have
fine, but the only reason anyone brings this event up is because they think you're either heartless, or they think that you're super radicalized.
Mm-hmm. And I think they don't understand anything about immigration policy or anything that's happening on the ground there whenever I hear them say this.
That's fine, but whatever they need to understand, you're not going to be able to impart in this one conversation. So if it were me, I don't know, I would just own it and be like, yeah, I did something that could have resulted in people dying. And, you know, if you want to get into kind of like super serious activism, that's some of the shit that you have to wrestle with it. And I've wrestled with it, and I think I did the right thing.
What if I sat here and I spent this whole call
accusing you of something,
pressing you on how your review of Cuties may have made a child get raped?
Mm-hmm. Let's do that.
And that you should apologize for
let's
that.
go through it.
The thing is, he'll be able to go through that conversation.
That script. Do you think that would be an appropriate line of questioning?
Yeah.
I mean, you lost your Patreon because of this event, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I lost my Patreon, or it was a widely seen criticism of me that I caused a child to get raped, or could have, like, nobody else has said that, but hypothetically, do you want to pretend they have? I'll walk you through what I would say.
Yeah, because once again, it doesn't matter whether someone said it or not. If you were popular enough, I'm sure people would. If it got I'm not.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm not trying to condescend, but people say a lot of things on the internet about everyone.
Right. Okay. So what I would say to that is, yes, I can see how talking about these things in a nuanced way, in a forum for people who are largely not the brightest people, it's not like if I wrote an academic paper about Cuties that only PhD students or whatever were going to read. You can have a little more leeway with that. And that's part of my problem with Cuties is maybe Netflix isn't the right place for it, because it is much more easy to misinterpret when it's just being blasted to a mass audience. And like YouTube audiences often don't even watch the video. So I would say, yeah, that is one of the downsides to talking about a complex, nuanced, and dangerous topic in such a blunt way with no disclaimers and no guide to explain to people what I'm fucking talking about on a huge platform with tons of viewers, that people are going to misinterpret what I say and then go do something horrible as a result. Absolutely. And I have to live with that. And so do you, because you can't stop me. I'm not going to start bringing up like, whoa, what about Lauren Southern? Have you seen her videos? What do you think she's doing? What about the people? What about your like? Don't defend yourself. Just don't. You don't have to. Just be like, yeah, you're right. People could have drowned. They didn't, but they could have.
They didn't, but they could have.
That doesn't change. That doesn't change my stance.
That doesn't change my, yeah, okay. That makes sense. They didn't, but they could have. But either way, the larger intent.
Maybe, as I say, maybe you don't have the balls to drown 50 people to save 10,000. I do. So maybe you shouldn't be an activist or a politician or a military commander. Maybe you can't be maybe you couldn't be president.
I think the way you stated that sounds really bad. You don't have the balls to drown. That sounds like it's being done actively.
That's what I would do. I would go on the offense. I would go on the offense and say, like, look,
between actively doing something,
just call them a
and
pussy.
Being a
no, fuck
effect.
that. Just call them a pussy. Just be like, look, I could be a military commander and you couldn't. That's all I've learned from this conversation. I'm willing to kill dozens to save thousands, and you're not. So go fuck yourself. I don't agree with you. I don't feel that way. I'm not willing to do that. I don't even think your cause is good. I don't agree with your anti-immigration stance, and I think it's overall like and kind of inherently racist. I just have a lot of problems.
What's race? Who said the immigrants have to be a certain color?
Well, they are.
Right, but
don't have to be. They just happen
what is
to be.
illegal, and what does illegal immigration have to do?
My point is that I'm not giving you this advice because I agree with you. I'm just saying if this is your stance, I don't get why you don't just like, lay it out. Just say like, fuck it. What are they going to say to you?
Okay.
If you say yes, if you put 50 immigrants in a cage and gave me a lever to drown them and I knew it was going to save 10,000, that there's no other way to save them except that, I would do it.
No.
What the fuck are they going to say to that?
No. You're fundamentally, like, that's like trolley question stuff, right? Because then
I think that's the question. That's why people are disturbed.
The follow of an action is different than directly doing
Nobody
action.
wants to hear you explain this shit. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not emotionally, it doesn't emotionally...
I get what you're saying, but people.
Okay, so let's go back to Cuties.
To listen to the depth and complexity of an idea. Well, then.
But there's no depth and complexity to. I thought the girls in Cuties were hot. No, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, well, maybe not. See, you're projecting your mind onto mine again, and that's the fundamental problem.
Oh, I told you, I'm advising you. I'm advising you.
I don't want your advice.
Then I'll stop.
But like that comes into okay. So I have the ability to, kill one person to take all their organs to save 5 in a hospital. No, I think that's wrong.
Well, then you're contradicting.
The fallout of a situation.
Where did the content machine go? What happened? Why do they have so many internet problems? Refresh?
That's why I disagree with your assessment.
The FBI
of this whole migrant situation. Your assessment of the whole I have balls to do this. Like, no. There is one thing that's being no, it's not about that. You are misportraying the circumstance. There's a difference between actively killing people and the death of people being the fallout of an action you're trying to do because you're trying to save people.
Then I have a new statement I would make. I would say it's not my fucking fault if people want to get in shitty ships and essentially drown themselves and then count on somebody else to come pick them up. They've already rolled the dice, endanger themselves, and then it's my fucking fault because I failed to block the ship that they're counting on to save their asses.
See, but this is why it's so difficult to have these conversations with people in general, and why I tend to just, you're right, I do kind of just get defensive and flail, and I'm like, oh, what's the effing point? Because even in like that statement you made there's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what the whole context of the immigration situation is. So even having hypothetical conversations, moral conversations, if you don't even understand what the dynamics, it's not the people's fault that got on the boat. It's not. A lot of them are being pushed into it by horrific human traffickers that are making a ton of money off this, and they're promising them paradise. Okay. So I think that needs to be stopped. So I couldn't even make this is why I'm also like, I'm not sure I want your advice. It's not because I don't think you're a smart person. I think you're very clever, but I don't think you understand the circumstances. And I don't think most people do. And perhaps I need to get better at explaining it. But I've made documentaries on it that people just don't watch when they hate me. So I don't bother about it. If you want to watch my documentary, watch it. If you don't, don't.
Not defending yourself. But my advice is only about not defending yourself. I don't know about the circumstances, and I don't. If you want to explain them, you can. But I don't. It's not super relevant to what I'm trying to say. Is that when somebody asks you a question of like, do you think it's irresponsible to do something that could result in death? I would just directly answer that without trying to give context.
Do you think it's irresponsible to get in your car in the morning when you could get in a car crash and kill someone?
Most people do that. Most people do not try to block rescue ships with flares and rafts.
So no, okay, so let's so this is
it falls apart instantly.
No, it doesn't fall apart instantly. I had two of the top lawyers that I hired in California when we were going against Patreon in my case. We went through all of the different moral complexities of this question, because this is exactly the question that was being asked, is you did something that could have potentially led to loss of life. And that was the accusation by Patreon. So my lawyers and we sat there, and for hours and hours and hours, over a year, we went through the possibilities of these moral complexities and where they could lead and what accusations could be made against who and what. And this is their full-time job. It's not our full-time job. And their thoughts on it was every single day people make decisions like that could potentially hurt or kill other people. You were going to partake in something that was potentially going to cause loss of life. The only reason that people are excessively pissed about this one is because there is a moral value, there is a current societal feeling towards immigration that people have put a lot of their attention onto. There is a current inherent just obsession with this topic and a hatred against me. And so this moral question of your behavior could have resulted in this has been blown up 10,000-fold in addressing me, when you could ask this question about almost every policy a politician puts in place, about every action people take every day, about the boat that people tried to stop the Sea Star. You could ask this about everyone, but it is being focused on me for inherently political reasons and because this is an inherently emotional subject for individuals. But if you look at it on an actual logical level, you are asking me to apologize for a hypothetical that can be applied to most people on a daily basis.
Okay. So, I don't want to continue to be condescending. I don't want to. That what you just said doesn't resonate with me. Do you care?
I understand that you probably are going to say that there's a difference between this political activism and getting in your car in the morning. Say that there's a difference. I get that. This political activism and getting in your car. Do I care about what? I get that.
That what you just said doesn't resonate with me.
I fear that I fear we're going to have difficulty resonating with each other at any point because there's been some fundamental misunderstanding at some point here. And also, I am getting a feeling, I'll be honest, of bad faith from your side. And also, and it's causing me to get frustrated and not engage with you on a, like, oh, let's just have a conversational level. It's pushing me to just be like, you're trying to work me into a corner here. That I'm not agreeing with the premise you're putting down. I don't want to. The fact that I'm even. This is precisely why in our Twitter conversation, I remember reading your message. And I don't just want to chat anymore. I want to question you about your past. I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be like an inquisition. This is going to be not trying to understand my thoughts. This isn't going to be trying to understand my approach to things. You're going to want me to say certain things to you. And I remember doing it.
Wait, stop. Do you want to talk about something else?
And I remember. I do, but can I finish this thought?
Yes.
Okay. I remember doing an interview with. I did a horrible documentary. It was a terrible decision with The Atlantic, and it was just the worst hit job of the world. I really trusted the guy. He completely cut out so much context to everything we were talking about. And I remember I should have recognized this by the 50th time he asked me if I was a racist. Because you don't ask someone the same question 50 times unless you didn't like the answer you got the first 50 times and you want a different one. He didn't want me to not be racist. He wanted me to be racist because that was helpful for his documentary. So he kept pressing on that question to get the answer he wanted. You want me to feel bad for a hypothetical that I'm never going to feel bad for because it didn't happen. You want me to feel bad for a hypothetical that I'm never going to feel bad for. You want me to feel bad for the possibility of a hypothetical.
I literally just gave.
Or you want me to say that.
I just get my advice. The last piece of advice I gave you was to just say that you don't feel bad. If you don't feel bad, then just say you don't feel bad.
I don't, and I said that the first time. I said,
okay.
I mean, I think I could have taken a better approach.
I don't know why you think I want you to feel bad. I feel bad about what you did, but you don't.
All right, let's move on.
You don't have to feel the same way about it.
I didn't. Yeah, like my chat, or like I didn't say you should feel bad. I just said it should haunt you. Like I didn't. I'm not trying to appeal to my chat, but like my chat are seeing a lot of what I'm seeing, which is I genuinely feel like there's like a level of manipulation. It feels like a level of manipulation going on here.
I am haunted by it, and I would be if it were me. And if you're not, then fine. There's this assumption that we have to feel the same way, and I don't agree. I don't care if you feel the same way. I'm interested to find out how you do feel.
Then why do you keep giving me advice on how I should feel?
I'm not. I'm giving you advice.
Or what I should say.
Because when I'm asking you how you feel about what happened, you're bringing up all these politicians and ships and shit that I've never heard of, and I don't fucking care.
Well, that kind of... Okay, well, that's the fundamental problem, is you don't know anything about this topic.
I don't.
So you feel haunted. You're like projecting a feeling that I should explain about a topic you don't understand. Yeah, I did see Cuties, and I wrote a review of it myself. So this is what's very frustrating for me, is like, I feel haunted about this topic. I understand none of the context about, I don't know any of the politicians, and you should communicate the same way I communicate about the topic, Lauren.
Okay, are you saying I shouldn't? Do you think people who have not seen Cuties have no right to have feelings about it?
Actually, yes. I think that's probably a bad idea for them to have strong feelings that they articulate about something they haven't seen. I think that's probably a bad idea for them to have.
Why the fuck are there two voices?
Story about you?
Why the fuck are there two voices? Wait, hello? Why the fuck are there two voices? Oh, it's Mr. Mooten. Where did he go? Oh, it's Mr. Mooten. Where did he go? Okay, Mooten is I don't know.
I understand that the story is salacious and maybe upsetting to you, but here's some articles. If you read these, and then you still want to talk about it, then get back to me. But right now, I'm not going to talk about it with somebody who's uninformed.
Oh, you're right. You know what? You're right in that sense that I should have just been straightforward from the beginning, and that's why at the beginning, which first mistake. I tried to explain the wider context of the problem because I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to have this conversation without the wider context, without an understanding of the politics. And
so
it's just impossible.
That's fine. That's okay. That's fine. Then we can't talk about it. So the only thing I would say then is, and you could say this is the reason, but a lot of people who are wary of, and you could say this is the reason, but a lot of people who are wary of you or freaked out by you are not going to have a deep understanding of the context, and they're never going to. So if you're not interested,
which is why I responded.
That's fine. You can absolutely choose. You can absolutely choose to not.
Point.
Sure, you can choose to not engage with people who don't have the context. But the only issue is that you can't talk across the divide then, if that's the case. But maybe that's fine, and maybe you don't need to. Like your critics are not going to. You're not going to be able to address what your critics are saying about you.
I can speak to people who are going to listen to what I'm saying, rather than people that are going to give a moral judgment about a circumstance they don't know about.
There's a lot more of the second group than the first group. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
I'd speak to Destiny because he's not like that, you know? This is kind of the common factor between us.
God, I'm so cool. Everybody knows how cool I am.
Immediately do that moral judgment. You should feel this way. I feel this way about this, so you have to feel this way about this, and this is how you should communicate your feeling about that. He just tries to understand your perspectives and views.
I don't think you should feel bad about it.
But you keep projecting how I should explain how I feel about it and how you feel about it, even though you don't understand the complexities of the situation.
Well, one of my suggestions.
I don't say that.
One of my suggestions to you was that you should say, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's not my problem.
Well, why would I say I don't give a fuck when I clearly give many fucks, because I've done documentaries on the subject and spent years investigating it. I deeply care about the situation, which is why I can't just.
My point is,
which is why I get hyped up
that,
and start talking about it and trying to explain all of the details.
Yes.
Because I really care and want people to understand, not to just have this, don't care, blah, blah. Like.
My point is that what you are perceiving or intending to be as giving context is coming off to me as evasive.
Defensive and evasive, true.
So like, there's no question you can ask me about Cuties that is going to take me longer than like 15 seconds to answer.
It's a fucking Netflix movie about girls twerking. This is one of the most complex historical issues in the world. Migration. It's got thousands of political policies written about it, thousands of lives lost, millions of different stories and routes people take. Like, what the fuck? You expect me to answer that simply just because you can answer a simple question about an hour-long Netflix movie about little girls? Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, I could say the same. I could say that pedophilia and attraction to children and child abuse and human trafficking are huge issues with thousands of lives lost. Moving parts. The human brain is the most complex piece of machinery ever invented by nature or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I'm not.
You just said. All right, continue.
I reject your claim that I'm telling you how you should feel.
Okay.
I don't think telling you how I feel is the same as telling you how you should feel.
Well, okay, so maybe I should have just clarified. I don't care how you feel about the circumstance because you don't have the context or understanding to apply a proper analysis, even emotionally, in my opinion.
Sigma versus Sigma. Oh man.
Be true.
That's my belief.
When two Sigma males collide.
you'll look into it more. I understand there are a lot of things that people have initial human disgust and outrage over, but I believe a lot of that actually comes from social conditioning.
Oh no!
I believe you've been
oh no!
Absolutely.
Careful.
Extent to have certain disgust response about things we don't fully understand or have looked into.
Absolutely. And so then my next question is, how do you think we should handle it if the story scares me and makes me scared of you to some extent, and we don't really have time for you to give me the full context because it is too complicated. And
I can send you a few documentaries I've done on it, a speech I did on it. But I'm saying in this conversation,
we're already having the conversation. Yeah. So my question is, how do we handle it if there's a story about you that scares me, that does resonate with me in a way that freaks me out, but you're saying that I don't have the context to intelligently form an emotion, much less express it to you, or expect you to care about it. Do you think that it's just...
You can form an... No, oh, sorry, finish your question.
I'm not attacking you. Do you... I think it's
I had an answer for what you were saying, and I want to let you finish.
Well, yeah, I just want to genuinely ask you, how do we handle the situation? Like, clearly what we're doing isn't working, right? So, like, talking past each other where you feel like I'm moralizing and I feel like you are not, like, connecting with the kind of blunt points that I want you to hit. And you don't want to do that because you feel like doing that would be oversimplifying and missing the, like, real context and meaning of what happened. Do we just not talk about it? Or is there a way to talk about it that's better?
There is a way to talk about it. You can absolutely form an emotion. You can absolutely express that emotion. But then don't put yourself in a position where you're giving me advice about something that you've just admitted you don't fully understand.
Yes. I don't want to be giving you advice on... I see what you're saying. I don't want to give you advice on how to talk about this thing. It's more just about how to not appear defensive.
I can agree that I appear defensive, and I can agree that I don't address this as well as I would like, or
have you
as
seen 8
concise as
Mile?
I would like.
Have you seen 8 Mile?
A long time ago, and I barely
Okay, you remember the last rap battle in 8 Mile?
I am white trash.
yeah.
I am a fucking bum.
So Eminem goes first, and his freestyle is about himself.
Can you send me
About
your
how he's a
template for the
loser.
strong app so I can have that shit?
About how his friend is an Uncle
Send
Tom.
you the template for what?
About how his other friend
strong app?
shot him.
Oh, I don't think you
shot
can
his
transfer it to
dickhead
another
off with
person.
his own
Then you have
gun.
to
And
enter
he's
it.
like-
Show me screenshots, or
He's ripping
just
on
want me to
himself.
enter it later then?
And then
we'll do it tonight.
when he finishes, Anthony Mackie goes next, and there's nothing he can say. Because he's already destroyed himself and the other person. There's just nowhere to go from that. So I think I'm much more of that school. I wouldn't take it as far as I do. But like, if you just take whatever the most true bad thing about you is with regard to this and just say it first, like what would anybody say to you about it? I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not
what
trying
I think
to.
is interesting.
Yeah.
When I first watched your content and when I listened to your conversations, I think what I found, what I liked about the way your brain worked.
What you used to like.
And fascinating. No. I just think you're applying it badly here. Okay. What I found interesting about how your brain worked was you feel there's, correct me if I'm wrong, you feel there's like this uniting factor in people of us all kind of having horrible thoughts and horrible things we've done that the ego and pride don't allow us to just own and address. Before I move on, can you confirm or deny that I'm analyzing that appropriately?
I think it's a similar thing. My lens is more that social norms where they currently are restrictive and isolating because we, especially on social media and the internet in general, we cannot express things that are more true to ourselves. Instead, we're expected to sell ad time and be safe for a paper towel roll ad to play before we talk, rather than to really connect with each other and ourselves. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's I find social norms stifle us at where they are now, so that it's harder for us to connect to each other, and it leaves us feeling like we're the only sick one in a world full of normal people.
Yeah. So I think I understand why you grasped onto it, this flare situation, as kind of that thing that would be that for me. This thing that I've done that is like people are horrified by, and maybe I just need to accept it, that I am this thing that is horrifying to the world instead of just completely misunderstood or whatever, or you want me to grasp onto that in some kind of way. But that is not the thing for me. I get annoyed when it's brought up because it was like literally such a short point of my life that gets so highlighted and is almost constantly misunderstood and is almost impossible to talk about, like in this conversation, because no one has the wider context or understands the policy issues or blah, 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 blah. Even the people who think they do. Like I know Lonerbox did a big video on it and could deep dive into that. But like that's not the thing that when I look at myself in the mirror and I think, oh my gosh, you're horrifying, Lauren, like I dislike this thing about myself, I just need to accept this thing about myself, that's not even in my peripheral. There are things I have like that because I'm a human being. And I have those things where I look in the mirror and I'm like, geez, like, get your life together, get your mind together. That's not it. And so I've spent this whole conversation just kind of irritated with like this superficial thing that's been blown up for headlines that 99% of people discussing it don't even care about or understand and misinterpret. And I feel like you've projected that general understanding of people and want to connect people through the things they're horrified by in themselves to the wrong object. It's the thing that the public and the headlines like, but it's not the thing that personally does that for me. It's not the thing I look in the mirror and think about all day and toss and turn over at night about, you know? Does that make sense?
It does, but I still think you're telling me that I think that you should be horrified by what you did, but I don't think you should be. I don't think you have to feel. I don't think you should feel about it the way I feel about it. That's just how I feel, and how I would feel, I think, if I were you. And how I feel, I mean, like
no,
all the
you wouldn't feel that way if you were me, because you'd have a lot more context.
Well, you understand what I'm saying. If I were suddenly teleported into your body. So I get what you're saying, that I think that you're just in denial. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but that's not what I was pushing at before. It's more like, I just think defending yourself is a bad idea. That's what I'm pushing against. I don't want any. It makes both of us look bad. It makes us both look bad.
What if people are
Yes,
actually
in
wrong
general.
about you, though? What if someone? What if people are genuinely wrong? Should you not stand up and say you're
okay,
wrong?
why don't you interrogate me for a while, and then I'll show you what I mean. So ask me what. We can people think I'm a rapist or a pedophile or whatever, and you can ask me about it, and I will do my best to not defend myself, even if I think you're wrong.
But this is like what your I'm a pedophile
Trauma guy is
video
based, okay?
was.
I get a drink.
Yeah.
This is like you just make a rap saying I'm this, I'm that.
Well, no, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah,
I don't think you should make
I know that's
you
a
shouldn't make a
joke.
rap song called "I'm a Migrant Drowner." That's not a good idea.
So I shouldn't do what you did.
You shouldn't do what I did. No.
Do you regret that video?
No, but I have different goals from you.
That's what I was more interested about at the beginning of this conversation.
Okay.
Because I think there's a big difference between the two of us. There's similarities in the sense of how people react to us.
Yes.
There's a difference that disturbed me about you.
Okay.
This is something that when I look at you, I can't figure out. It makes my mind tick. Is I did something that, you know, like I said, I'd go back and I'd do it differently now, but I did something that I genuinely in my heart was like, I think this is going to make a better world. I think this is going to save lives. I think this is truly politically important. And I am willing to make sacrifices to my reputation, to my ability to travel, to my life, potentially, because I think this is important. I don't understand why you would make the same sacrifices reputationally and physically that I would for something like the movie Cuties or saying something edgy. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's not about cuties, it's about telling the truth. It's about if I sit down in front of my camera and I want
Was
to...
it an important truth?
The
there are a lot of
truth
things that are true, but some are important and some aren't.
The truth is important to me, specifically the ability to tell it. So if I turn my camera on and I sit down and I'm going to say, okay, let me give my unvarnished thoughts about this film. I don't want fear of other people or social media companies to prevent me from doing that.
So, like, would you sit down and make a video, like, saying, okay, so when I think about the truth,
Yeah.
Obviously I'm a very pro-free speech individual. I dislike the censorship going on. I agree people need to have more honest conversations, desperately.
Okay.
And that's the only way we're going to fix any of this mess that we're in is honest conversations, hard conversations. This is a hard conversation, but I'm enjoying it to a degree. Some parts not so much, some others, yes. But like when I think of the truth, I think of like you could have an abusive husband that looks at his
listen,
wife
I appreciate you and I love you.
It's
been great. We've all enjoyed your playing. Okay, it's time to chill.
Maybe that's true. Was that an important truth for him to highlight? Or was it more important for him to use his time with truth to highlight that?
Oh God! Wait, what is tonight?
I love you. Maybe save his marriage. I love our kids and do this.
I
like
think
there are truths that deserve to be highlighted and some that don't, and you can fight for free speech in both ways. I just
I said I would do a Mr. Fanatic panel tonight. Oh no!
I think that it's up to you to decide what's important for you to say, and what is important for you to tell the truth about.
You don't think there's any greater? You don't think there's anything greater than your own self-judgment?
Like, are we not going? I'm going tonight, but I usually go around 10 or 10:30, not 9 or 9:30.
When it comes to me deciding what I want to say or what's true, no, I don't think so.
There's no greater
because other people
dictates what is true and what is important truth and what
other people don't tell you not to say
you.
things because they're not true. They tell you not to say things because they don't like hearing them or they're upset about them. No one's complaining about my Cuties review, saying it's not true that you think the girls in Cuties are hot. That's not their problem with it. They're saying it freaked us out and we hate it or whatever. That's the complaint. And so, yeah, we all have to make a judgment about like how important is this for me to say and how is it going to be received most likely, and then some kind of balancing act. But I believe that the how are other people going to receive it part in most of society, and especially online, is a bit oppressive, and I think we need to kind of expand. Just like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, we would never have been able to have most of this conversation because it would
words are important. This is why people are horrified by what you say, and the thoughts we allow ourselves to have and to articulate are important to a degree as well. Now, I don't believe in censoring them. But like you said, I don't believe in censoring you saying that you feel haunted by some of my actions, right?
Yeah.
And there's a difference between people's disgust and dislike towards someone's behavior, what they speak, and censorship. That this is true as well. Now, once again, I will always bring things back to the book I'm reading in that moment. The very opening of Chesterton's Heretics. He talks about how everyone wants a more liberal, progressive world, and we all want to have free speech. We want to be able to talk about everything except everything, seemingly, because no one wants to talk about religion or what happens after we die or like deeper kind of questions. We just want to be able to talk about everything. And one point he makes is everyone who's pro-free speech, they want to allow you know, the nihilists to talk. And if you don't allow the nihilists to talk, then you're anti-free speech and you're making the world a worse place. And it's just words. All they're saying is, you know, the world is meaningless, life is empty. Why can't they just say these things? Great, let them speak, but don't act like there's no importance to what they're saying. Don't act like the only point is for them to be able to say it. Because if it is true, if what they are saying is true and it spreads, that life is pointless, life is pain, and there is no meaning, then we would be giving murderers medals.
Thank you, guys.
And I don't
still
want to
waiting
live in
on
a world
Missy
like
to
that.
join the.
So what we say has meaning, and how people judge it, and how we
someone,
choose
I
to
think you might have your StreamYard.
determine things of importance within our own mind and regulate our own mind matters.
Okay, so you're asking, I think, two questions. One is, why was I willing to say what I said about Cuties? And the second question is, like, why am I willing to face the social consequences? And then two, why did I want to say it in the first place?
I suppose that follows, yeah.
Okay. Are you asking me to go to the second question then?
Whichever one you would like to start with.
Well, I think
Hake report
kind of
guy is on
answered
this
the
one.
first
Oh,
one.
boy.
That
Okay.
those are my unvarnished thoughts, and I want to be able to say my unvarnished thoughts on my YouTube channel. What's the point of having one if I can't do that? For me, that's what I want.
Okay.
I don't want to sell paper
That's
towels.
what you want to do.
Yeah. I want to
Why
make...
do you feel that those thoughts are important? I understand you want to say them. Why do you feel they're important?
I wanted to engage with the part of the movie that I think resonated with the most with me. There's a lot of stuff in the movie about, like, religion and culture and assimilation that I didn't care that much about. And that's not the part that people were reacting to. I mean, most people don't even know about that part. What resonated with me was objectifying children.
Why do you feel like it was important that you make a video about what resonated with you?
What's going on?
I think that's kind of how I make most of my videos, is like, and even this conversation. I asked you about the migrant thing, not because I think it's, like, objectively the most important thing to talk about. It's the part that I'm stuck on. And so after watching Cuties, that's the part that hooked me. And I think that's just how I decide to, what I feel the strongest about is what I'm going to make a video about.
Like, why? So it's just based on, you know, what you feel that day and what's kind of people are talking about. So it's just like you're,
And
you know, a lot of people, that's fine. A lot of YouTubers make their decision that way. I feel like I like this topic, and so I'm going to talk about it. But the reason that people are horrified by yours is they're like, you had a feeling and a thing you wanted to talk about, and, you know, that's not, there's nothing noble or not noble about just making a video because it's viral or because you're interested in it personally. Mm-hmm. But there is a question when that topic comes to something that can harm the mental state of the populace, right?
I'm happy
so, like,
to
if someone
answer.
said,
I'm happy to answer that question if you want to ask. But I choose I'd say feelings probably are the main thing that sort of drives my channel's nose. And the other thing is, like, do I have something to say that is unique? So if I watch Cuties and I think, oh, this is horrible child abuse, child porn, and that's all I have to say about it, I probably wouldn't have made the video, because it'd be like, there's no point in me saying that. Everybody else is already saying it. So I'm looking for things where I feel like I have something, like, genuinely meaningful to add to the sphere.
What was meaningful about what you added?
That's pretty subjective, right?
Just because something turns you on.
Just because something's different, and just because something is something other people aren't saying doesn't mean it's meaningful.
True.
No, I'm saying I have two requirements. It has to be meaningful, and it has to feel to me like it's not something everyone else is saying. So, like, I didn't make a video on Ghislaine Maxwell. So I'm like, okay, like, yeah, she trafficked children. She got arrested. She got charged. And now she's convicted.
Oh, did Lauren make a video on her?
Like, yep. I don't have anything to say about that.
But do you understand what I'm saying when I say just because it's something different that you're saying, just because it's something that hasn't been said by other people, doesn't mean it's something that's meaningful or needs to be said. So I'm asking you, what about what you said made it meaningful?
Well, I can tell you what's meaningful to me.
Yeah, that's what she's asking.
So you just did it because it's meaningful to you, not because you felt it.
Wait, hello?
I felt, I felt it would resonate with us.
Oh, are we only doing 4? Is this a 4-person panel?
Yes, that was the intention.
Oh, you sure? You want to have 6 people, 9 people, 12 people? Holy shit.
No.
Oh, I thought we were waiting for more people. Sorry, I'm here. What's up?